Well, I can't claim credit necessarily for this, but the one is that you don't have to outrun the bear, just the person next to you. I think that there are a lot of vectors that people could be using to get into your organization, and you want to lock down as many of those as possible, but monitoring the potential ways in which people can get in. So there is the phishing, and the humans will always be a weak link within the system. And where stuff is becoming a lot more sophisticated now, just this podcast could put me at risk with my staff, because they can now take my voice from this and then use that in a call. Little do they know I'm putting on an accent here, and this is not how I normally speak at all, so they'll be fine. But there are other elements in there, the technological stuff. So even when you're reaching out to people, there is still a delay in that response. So they still have to look at the email, click on a link. I don't think, and maybe if you can correct me on this, I don't think that most of these are sort of like 0-click chains which they put together. So if you just click on the email or just even visit a website, that suddenly you're going to be pwned. I think usually what happens, and what we've seen, is that they'll then flash up a Google login page which looks like Google, and then you have to log back into Google to get onto it, and maybe they're pretending that they're DocuSign or some other thing, and then you sort of blindly follow that login with your account details, and they now have your account details and will immediately then start trying to exfiltrate and then get across the organization. So depending on who you've got there will depend on how much access they've got and how easy it is to do that, and how good your security stuff is at stopping them migrating and moving laterally across the organization. But there are other things which you could do from a criminal's point of view, which is actually much lower hanging fruit as well, is the technological stuff. So the end days where people have released the vulnerabilities, they know what they are, they then build tools around those and start scanning for those. And if you're not on top of your patching cadences and also monitoring your own attack surface to make sure that these things don't pop up, then you will be at a disadvantage to the guy next to you who's running a bit slower than you and maybe hasn't worked on their cardio. I think that cybersecurity is definitely a fitness thing.
Yeah, cardio is also one of the first rules in the zombie apocalypse also. Nice. So